Way back in the early 2000s, life felt pretty stable. I was in my late 20s, married to my college sweetheart, let's call her Emily, for about 5 years. We had two amazing kids, a rambunctious 6-year-old boy named Alex and a sweet 4-year-old girl named Lily. I worked a solid 9 to 5 in sales, pulling in enough to cover our mortgage on a cozy 3-bedroom house in a quiet suburb. Emily had a part-time gig at a local retail store, mostly to get out of the house and have some adult time, as she put it. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. Weekend barbecues with neighbors, family vacations to the lake every summer, the usual American dream stuff. Things started feeling off around the time Lily turned 4. Emily began dropping the kids off at her parents' house more often, 2, sometimes 3 times a week. Her folks lived about 90 minutes away in a rural area, so it was a big chunk of her day. She'd say it was to give Grandma and Grandpa some quality time with the grandkids, or that she needed a break to run errands without the little ones in tow. At first, I didn't think much of it. Parenting young kids is exhausting, I got it. But the kids started mentioning it casually. "Mommy took us to Grandma's again today," or "We played at Grandpa's farm while Mommy went shopping." Alex, being the older one, was more chatty. He'd say things like, "Mommy talks on the phone a lot when we're at Grandma's," or "Mommy met a friend for lunch." Innocent kid stuff, but it planted a seed of doubt. Emily's schedule didn't add up perfectly either. Her part-time shifts were only a couple days a week, yet the drop-offs were happening on her off days too. I tried brushing it off as paranoia. My own parents had a messy marriage growing up, constant arguments, suspicions of cheating on both sides, and it had scarred me and my siblings deeply. Fights over nothing, slammed doors, weeks of cold shoulders. I swore I'd never let my kids grow up in that environment. Emily and I had even talked about it early in our relationship. Total honesty, no secrets, we'd work through problems together. But the nagging feeling wouldn't go away. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, I sat down at our family desktop computer. Back in the dial-up AOL days, remember that screeching modem sound? There was a yellow sticky note stuck to the monitor with Emily's email password written on it. She'd probably jotted it down when she forgot it once and never removed it. I don't know what possessed me, curiosity, suspicion, a gut feeling, but I logged in. What I found destroyed me. Her inbox was full of emails from an old high school boyfriend. Let's call him Jake. They weren't subtle, explicit details about meetups, what they'd done, how much they missed each other. One thread had her venting to her college best friend about how exciting it was to sneak around, how Jake made her feel alive again after the monotony of motherhood. There were even jokes about how I'd never suspect because I was always working late or tired from dad duty. The affair had been going on for at least 6 months, maybe longer. I sat there staring at the screen until the words blurred from tears. Rage, heartbreak, humiliation all at once. How could she do this? To me? To our family? And using the kids as an alibi? Dropping them at her parents' so she could... hook up with this loser from her past? I printed everything, dozens of pages, and stashed them in a locked drawer at work the next day. I didn't confront her right away. Emotions were too raw. I needed proof beyond emails, something undeniable. A cop buddy from high school recommended a private investigator he'd worked with, a guy named Ron who'd left the force to go private. Discreet, thorough, no nonsense. I met Ron at a coffee shop, handed over the printed emails, and explained my suspicions. He didn't judge, just nodded and said, "I'll get you what you need." A week later, he called. "We've got a pattern." His report was meticulous. Time-stamped photos, locations, dates. Emily would pack the kids into the car, drive to her parents, who genuinely thought she was just visiting, drop them off with excuses like, "I have errands in the city." Then she'd meet Jake at a casual diner for lunch. After that, they'd check into a seedy motel off the highway, the kind with hourly rates and neon signs flickering vacancy. A couple hours later, she'd pick the kids up, swing by a drive-thru for treats, and head home like nothing happened, smiling, kissing me hello, asking about my day. The photos were gut-wrenching. Them holding hands across a booth, kissing in the motel parking lot, walking into a room together. Jake had paid with his credit card a few times, stupid move, but it confirmed everything. Jake was married too, with a wife and a young kid of his own. From what Ron dug up, he worked at a conservative financial firm, strict morals clause in their employee handbook. Adultery could be grounds for termination if it brought disrepute to the company. At that point, I knew the marriage was over. No way I could rebuild trust after this. My parents' cheating had poisoned my childhood. I wouldn't inflict that on Alex and Lily. I hired a divorce attorney immediately, top-rated, shark in the courtroom. We mapped out custody, I wanted primary, asset division, house in my name mostly since I'd put down the down payment from an inheritance, and child support. But Emily? She'd get consequences through the legal system. Jake? He wasn't walking away clean. I compiled a packet, Ron's full report, photos, faces clear, timestamps visible, motel receipts, even excerpts from the emails where Emily trash-talked Jake's wife, calling her frumpy and boring after she'd gained weight post-baby. First, I mailed an anonymous copy to Jake's wife, included a short note. "Your husband has been having an affair with my wife for months. Here's the proof. I'm sorry you're learning this way, but you deserve to know." Second, another copy went to Jake's HR department. No note, just the evidence. Let it speak for itself. Then I waited. Jake's wife got the package first. She confronted him that night, screaming match heard by neighbors from what I heard later. She kicked him out, filed for divorce the next morning, took the kid, froze joint accounts, lawyered up fast. She was devastated but furious, apparently. This wasn't Jake's first rodeo, but it was the one that broke her. At work, HR hauled Jake in. The company prided itself on family values, big clients in conservative sectors. The photos and receipts were damning. Word spread internally. Clients pulled accounts when whispers got out. Jake got demoted, then restructured out during the next layoffs. He ended up bouncing between dead-end jobs, credit ruined from the divorce settlement. Emily got served papers at her work, public humiliation just like she'd humiliated me. Her parents were shocked. They'd had no idea they were unwitting alibis. They sided with me on custody, testifying that Emily had lied to them repeatedly. The divorce was straightforward. Ironclad proof of adultery meant favorable terms. I kept the house, primary custody. She got weekends, supervised at first because of the deception involving the kids. She moved into a small apartment, lost most friends, word travels in suburbs, and struggled with guilt and regret. Years later, grapevine updates. Jake moved back with his parents, alienated from his kid, barely scraping by. Emily tried dating but couldn't keep relationships, trust issues on both sides. She reached out a few times, tearful apologies, for the kids' sake. I shut it down. The kids are thriving now, teens, happy, stable, knowing the truth in age-appropriate ways but shielded from the worst details. Me? I remarried a wonderful woman who values honesty above all else. We have a blended family, strong and drama-free. Moral? Cheat on your wife with mine? Fine, but involve my kids as cover, lie to everyone, and think there are no consequences? I'll burn your life to the ground, legally, quietly, and permanently. ProRevenge served ice cold.